Student athletes, coaches, and parents have been anxiously awaiting news on a potential fall sports season. On Wednesday, August 19th, the MIAA Board of Directors approved a plan for a modified athletic calendar for the 2020-2021 school year. Sports producer Chris Dugan spoke with Needham Athletic Director Dan Lee after the decision to find out what comes next.
The MIAA Board of Directors voted unanimously 23-0 to adopt a sports season that includes, I guess we can call it 4 seasons. We got a fall sports, winter sports, what's being called the floating season of fall sports 2, and a spring sports. All of those varying dates. Dan Lee, AD of Needham, here with me now. So I guess my first question to you, hearing that news, what are your initial reactions to this approved modified sports schedule?
First reaction is this was a long time coming, and it's good to finally have some structure and some framework of what we can do for the upcoming school year. I know there have been a lot of people, athletic directors included, along with athletes and families, anxiously awaiting guidance from Governor Baker's office, from DESE, from the MIAA. So I think getting that word today and seeing the vote go through is a little bit of a relief that we finally now know, but also now there's a lot of work to be done.
What would you say are kind of the next steps for you and the rest of the Needham athletic staff?
Right. So what's important to know, Chris, is that despite the MIAA adopting the guidelines from the EA and DESE, like I said, this starts our work now. So our next steps are that we're going to meet together as ADs in the Bay State Conference, as well as within our athletic district, which is now District 7, which was new this year, which is the Bay State Conference, the Tri-Valley League, and the Hockomock. And what you'll see in the MIAA recommendations is that, given that framework of the 4 seasons, is that it gives flexibility to not only individual schools, but leagues and districts to move dates around, move sports around, and that will then ultimately give us what our fall season will look like, winter, fall 2, and spring. So that would be step 2. The third step is then we need to await individual sport committees from the MIAA to give their recommendations for modifications to sports that are in the moderate risk level as determined by the EEA, which came out last Friday. So sports like soccer, field hockey, or volleyball, for instance, in the fall, that are considered moderate risk, those individual sport committees will give recommendations in terms of modifications that need to be made to the game for it to be able to be safely played. We as a conference had discussions a month ago that even if those suggestions were not put forth by the MIAA, that we were going to move to a league-only schedule, at least for this fall. I think as we've progressed now over the past few weeks and we see how things have changed, that might adapt even more. And do we look at playing Wellesley and Natick and Newton more often than Braintree and Weymouth? We haven't had those formal discussions yet, but I think that's something that would be on the table, and how we work within the league. I think what's also still yet to be determined is what every district ends up deciding on, what they can do, right? So, as I said, just because the MIAA said, okay, here's the framework and here are the sports that you can play and when you can play them, each individual school district is still going to have to see what works for them and what is feasible for them. Again, I haven't even been able to have the conversations with our central office on what we can do in Needham. So it's going to be scheduling is always a big puzzle that we have to put together, but even more so, we're going to have to wait to see what schools in our league or in our area are going to be having sports this fall. There are issues around facility usage in terms of whether it's a pool or a hockey rink or Reggie Lewis Indoor Track Center? Are they going to be opening up to outside groups? And those are all things that now that the framework's in place and now we're working on. But those are some of still the unknowns that in some of the obstacles before we can finalize a schedule.
Lee elaborated further by saying once the athletic staff determines how each sport can be safely played, they will meet with Aaron Seacott, Dan Gutekunst, and the town's public health department to finalize their specific plans. He also explained that September 18th is the starting date for fall sports tryouts, with games likely beginning in early October. In addition to the availability of facilities, other details like fan attendance and team transportation still need to be worked out. Finally, Lee encouraged everyone involved to continue to wear a mask and practice social distancing in order to ensure sports seasons can take place.